Hey guys, welcome back and Merry Christmas Eve. So I figured with me uploading today on Christmas Eve that it was only appropriate that I do a full Christmas themed mani. So I'm going to actually be doing all of my favorite Christmas designs all on one hand. So that's what we're going to do today. So I am using 3 colors for this mani. The red and green glitters are by Revel. This color right here is called White Hot by ASP. If you don't know, this is the Sally Beauty Store, their brand of dip powders. And they are actually pretty reasonably priced, at least for my area. It is a 1/2 ounce jar for, I believe, a little over $7. So it is cheaper than some online dip powder companies. And most of the colors that I have from them I do actually like. Some of their pinks are a little on the sheer see-through-ish side, but that's okay. So I'm just going to do the white on my pinky and my thumb, and I do try to do really thin layers of base. I try to do thin layers of base every time I do my nails. But whenever I know that I'm doing actual nail art on them, I try to do them really as thin as possible. Reason why is because I do a base gel coat and then the nail art and then the gel top coat, and any layer, whether it be a dip powder or a gel, is going to add bulk onto your nail. So with all that, I still want to try and keep them as thin as possible. So I'm just going to continue to do my dip powder application. I am going to speed through a good portion of my dipping because I've had some of you say that you want to see more of my shaping and filing, so I am going to speed through some of this video so that I can include my shaping and e-filing and of course the nail art. But I am going to let you guys watch me do my dip powder, and I will probably pop back in here and there to chit chat with you all. So I will let you guys continue to watch, and I will be back in a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to use my Dipalicious base for my glitter nails, and obviously I'm doing my green glitter on my middle finger. Now if you remember in my last video, I talked about the Dipalicious base and it being thinner and it taking a little bit longer to dry. So I am going to let this green nail and the red ones kind of sit for a little bit in between doing the dips, just because when you brush off you don't want any of what you just did to smear around. But I am just going to brush off the excess around my cuticle because I hate the feeling of that powder on my hands. There was a little piece of green glitter at the very top where I would usually e-file it off, and I wanted to leave that on there because I wanted to show you guys what happens to your glitters when you don't cap them in clear. So that's why I left that little piece there. But I'm going to move on to doing my red, and then I will let them sit for, I think I let them sit probably for about a good minute just to make sure. Don't worry, I did clip that out. Not going to make you guys stare at nothing for a minute, but I will let you guys continue to watch me do my 2 glitter dips, and I will be back again in a bit. Alright, so now my 2 coats of glitter dip is done, and I'm going to go in with the same Dipalicious base. As you can see, that little piece of glitter sticking out at the top, I'm not putting any base on that because I want to show you what happens when you don't cap your glitters in clear and why it's important to cap them in clear. So I'm just going to dip all of my glitters in clear. You did see me do 1 coat of activator on my white nails, and that was just because I wanted to really quickly put that on there so that I didn't risk getting any red or green glitter on my white nails, because that would drive me crazy. So I'm just going to continue to cap and clear. You guys are going to have to let me know if the way I did my dip powder, putting the base on like that, if that was better for you guys, if you guys could see it more clearly. I am still learning all of this application and editing stuff for YouTube. It is a bit different than if I was just sitting at my table doing my own nails just for me. So let me know if this is better. My goal is always to make each video better than the one before. So I am really trying hard at staying in frame and making sure that you guys can really see everything that I'm doing. So hopefully this video is better and more clear for you all. So now that everything is nice and set, I'm going to brush off all the excess before I activate these glitter nails. And I'm just going to brush them all off, go in and do 2 coats of activator, and then I will let these sit for a good 2 minutes before I get into my shaping and filing. Alright, so now that my activator has fully cured all of my nails, I'm going to go in with my sanding band, which is of course on the mandrel drill bit. And I'm just going to e-file my nails up the way I usually would. I like to start at my sidewalls and go around my cuticle area and make sure that it's nice and flush. Now, because I use peel base and I fill my nails in, my nails are always pretty much the shape that I already want them to be. And whenever I'm done dipping, if the shape has changed any, I know that it's pretty much just from the added bulk from the dip powder. So I prefer to do my e-filing first and then shape a little bit after. Because usually after I e-file, my nails are pretty much back to where I want them to be, and I just kind of touch up just the edges. With my e-filing, I do rest my forearm on my table, and that kind of just gives me a little bit more control of my e-file. That's the biggest key, I think, with e-filing, is having control of it, because you don't want it to slip. You don't want to cut yourself. Even though I don't turn my e-file up all that much, I still kind of have it on a low-ish speed. I am going to speed up this portion of the video a little bit as well, just because you pretty much only really need to see just one nail. So I'm just going to continue to e-file, and then I will take my hand file and just kind of go around and make sure everything is shaped the way that I like. And then we will move on to the fun part and do some nail art. So I will let you continue to watch me e-file, and I will be back in a minute. Alright, so I wanted to just pop back in here for a second just to show you guys something. If you remember, I said I left that one little piece of glitter at the very top by my cuticle, which I am going to e-file off here in a second, but I just wanted to show you. I'm going to hold my hand up in just a second, and I'm hoping that you guys will be able to see it. I'm hoping the camera picked it up. So if you see right here at where my thumb's pointing, that's shiny, that's silver, that's what happens when you don't cap glitter in clear and you buff. You're cutting into the glitter, you're cutting it in half, and it's showing that silver, because glitter is pretty much just a coated silver. So that's why you want to always cap in clear so you get the true color of your glitters. All right, so now I will let you guys continue to watch me finish up e-filing and shaping and all that good stuff, and I will be back in a bit. All right, so I'm just going to finish up my shaping with my hand file, and we are going to get into some nail art. Ignore my ring finger. The first time I did this video, I realized I was completely out of frame when I did the nail art, so I did just take that off and I redid it, so you will see that in a minute. I am just using my longest nail art brush that I have here and some matte acrylic paint in the color Snow White that I get from Walmart. And I'm just going to do a thin line across. And then I'm going to do another line. And then another line closer to that, because I want this stripe in the middle to be a bit thicker. More like how a candy cane or a peppermint, whatever you want to call this design, would be. So I just make the two lines, and then I'm just going to take my striping brush and just fill it in with the white. And the great thing about using gel top coat over top of acrylic paint is if you see any brush strokes or anything in there, once you do the gel top coat, it kind of covers that up so you don't see those lines from the brushes. If you don't have a brush, you could use a dotting tool or a toothpick to do this. I've done candy cane stripes with toothpicks plenty of times before. And then I'm just going to go in because I wanted to just add a little bit more to it, so I'm going to just add another thin little line on the bottom and on the top. And then that is pretty much it for our little candy cane. So now I'm going to get into doing my other design here. I'm going to use my biggest dotting tool that I have. and I'm just going to do a big dot in the center, and then I'm just going to lead up and then down with dots. I like doing the Santa belt like this because you don't have to worry about getting a straight, perfect line down the center. To me, that's trying to get a straight line on my nail is near to impossible because it'll look straight this way, and then if I turn my hand out, it doesn't look even. So doing the dots like this I like because you're kind of doing like the fur on Santa's jacket, so it doesn't need to be perfect. So then I just take the smaller end of my dotting tool and just kind of get it up to where that dip powder color starts. And then you would just let that dry for a minute until it turns matte. That's why I love matte acrylic paint. When it's dry, it's matte and you're good to go. So now I'm going to use one of my smaller sized brushes. And now we are going to create the belt. And I'm just using black acrylic paint. And I'm just going to do 2 lines across the bottom here. Of course, if you do this, when you do this, you could place the belt anywhere on the nail. I like to do it a little bit lower just because that's typically where a belt would sit on Santa. So then you're just going to fill that in with the black paint, just like so. And then you will just let that dry. I like to just go in and make sure that my edges are nice and clean and smooth. Another good thing about using acrylic paint is you can just take a little piece of napkin with some alcohol or water and just clean up whatever gets on your skin. So there we have the belt part done. And I'm just going around with my brush with just a little bit of alcohol on it and just cleaning up the bits of paint that I got on my skin here. The rest will wash off with some water later. Now I'm going in with this stamping polish from Born Pretty called Pink Planet. Only because it's the only gold I have. I need to get some gold and silver acrylic paint. So I'm just going to put a little bit down at a time, since if you've worked with stamping polishes, then you know that they dry quickly. And now I'm just going to go in. I do go back and frame in a second. I promise. I'm just going to do 2 lines on either side of the belt here to create the belt buckle. And I'm just making a square. That's all I'm doing. And then I will do a smaller square in the center and then fill it in. So now I'm just going to do my little top line to complete my square, my belt buckle. Hopefully you guys can see that. And I am trying to get thin amount of paint on there. I don't want these to be too thick. Now you could leave it just like this if you wanted to. I wanted to just kind of fill it in because the gold did seem to be a little bit light over top of the black and the white. So I felt if I filled it in, you'd be able to see it a bit more. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just going around and filling in a little bit of that square. little Santa belt. So cute. I love this one. Alright, so now for this one, I am going to speed it up a little bit just because I'm only doing just some cuticle crystals for this nail right here. So I'm just applying a little bit of my gel base coat where I want the crystals to be. And then I will just take my little rhinestone tool, picker-upper, whatever it's called, and just apply my crystals and get them where I want them to be. So now on to my new favorite nail design to do, the sweater nails, which I'm going to do on my thumb and my pinky. I did already off camera go ahead and do a gel matte top coat on those two nails, and I cured those for 60 seconds. Now I'm just taking a little bit of my regular gel top coat, and I'm going to use my smallest dotting tool. And I'm just going to create kind of like a lightning bolt type of shape. And I'm going to do 3 of them. Now when you're doing this, you do want to space out the design just a bit, because if you've used gel before, you know that it will kind of move around on you somewhat. So you don't want those designs to spread together. So now I'm just going to do 3 dots on both sides. I don't know why, but I love doing these designs. I didn't think I was going to like doing the sweater nails the very first time I did them a couple weeks ago, because usually I'm not real big on having textured nails. But these actually aren't that bad. And I don't know, I really love how they look. They're so unique and so cool. So once you get the design on there, so glad I did them in white this time, and you guys can actually see the gel design on there first. So you just take the same dip powder that you used, and you want to lightly sprinkle it over. Another reason I'm glad I did it in white is this powder is so much lightweight than the darker color that I did before, so it didn't add too much weight onto the design, so it didn't push it down really at all. So that was good. And then after this, you will just shake off excess. You don't want to brush it off yet. And then you just put it in your lamp and cure that. I think my pinky, I just did like a quick 30-second flash cure for that, just to get everything set and in place, and I can move on to my thumb. So now for my thumb design, I'm just going to use my dotting tool again. Just going to put down a little bit more top coat here. So for my thumb, I did have I got a hair or something in my nail while I was dipping, and when I went to dig it out, it kind of put a little dent in the dip powder, but I knew I was going to do a design over it, so I wasn't too worried about it. So for this one, I'm doing kind of like 3 teardrop type of shapes, kind of loop. I don't know what they're called. I have them on my sweaters though. So I'm just going to go in and do my 3 little teardroppy, loopy, circle things, just with my dotting tool and my top coat. I love doing sweater nails on the thumb because you can just have a lot of fun with it. So much more room on that finger. And now I'm going to go in with my nail art brush, and I'm going to do a line on both sides. Again, like I said, I'm making sure to space that line out so it doesn't start to run into my little loop-de-loops. And you do want to make sure when you're doing sweater nails that you do have a decent amount of gel on there. You don't want it to be too thin, because the whole point of the sweater nail is for it to be raised up just a little bit. So then I'm going to just kind of do like zigzags on the ends there, or little V's, I guess you could say. So I'm just going to continue to do my little V's. And there is my little finished design there. And then again, you just want to take the same dip powder that you used and sprinkle that over the top. Although I guess if you wanted to, you could do a different color dip powder, totally up to you. Maybe I'll try that sometime and see what it looks like with a different color dip powder over top. So if you sprinkle over your dip and after you shake off the excess, if you see any clear, shiny parts on there, you do want to just spread a little bit more powder on there, because that just means you didn't cover it fully. So now that I've cured my whole hand for a good 60 seconds, I can go in and really brush off really good. But there is our pretty much finished design here, and I'm just going to go in and top coat those other 3 nails. And I am going to speed through this part because you guys all know how to top coat by now. Of course, capping my edges. So now I'm just going to go around with my little brush with some alcohol on it and just clean up wherever my gel top coat may have flooded before I go ahead and cure these. Then I will pop them into my lamp for 60 seconds. And here is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I had so much fun making them for you. I hope you all have a great holiday. Friday's video will be our marble nails. Finally. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.